A commonly asked question in lead gen is, what do I do when I have multiple buyers? How do I take those leads in from my landing pages, and then how do I send it to the right buyer? Usually there's lead routing or lead distribution software or a lead management system. Its primary job is to take lead information that comes from a website or even from a third-party partner or a lead supplier, figure out where the lead should go, meaning what is the best buyer or who is the best buyer, and that could be based on where they're located, how much they're willing to pay, or even their operating hours. There are some other lead qualifying factors that could come into play when you decide to deliver the leads. There is a need to have a much simpler solution, which is just take the leads in and have very predictable routing that goes to your specific end buyers. There's a whole world of features. When you do this at scale, there's a lot of different factors in deciding where to send leads, and even whether it's a shared lead versus exclusive. So I built a very simple automation inside of NAN. We call it Nate. We have a self-hosted version of it, but I was just playing around. If I were to start over and I was just doing like a local lead gen playbook, like in Lead-Based Pro, I'd probably pursue it like this. I wouldn't go get advanced software because I know that the buyers probably aren't going to have like dynamic pricing. The rules that they give me based on the leads they want would probably be very simple. And if I was starting from scratch or starting over, I probably would be working with less buyers just to make sure that my ads are working for them. That's not how I operate now, but if I had to start over, that's what I would do. So here's what the flow looks like. I make assumptions in this, or I make one big assumption in this flow, which is you already have a landing page. You already have a way to take leads in. You're just now sending that leads information into this flow, and it's through a webhook. And you're going to post all of the lead data, and then this flow will decide how to route the leads. So if you look here, I have a switch, and this is the simplest lead routing system that's just based purely on state code. So based on the lead record, if they say they're in Nevada, California, Utah, or Oregon, it would route that to the right buyer. So in this case, this shows I have two Nevada buyers, and I'll talk about this round robin in a second. And then I have one California buyer, so they're going to get everything that comes in through California. And then I have another Utah buyer, and I'll talk about the delivery methods because that comes up a lot when you're talking to lead buyers. And then I have an Oregon buyer. Now, these are fake buyers. Nothing's real, but this is a working system that I can run you through. One other comment is a round robin would be you rotate it every other or about 50-50, so the leads come in. In this case, I'm saying I have two lead buyers in Nevada, and what I want is for that lead record, half the time go to buyer one and half the time go to buyer two. Not the easiest or not the best solution to make sure that they get like a fair share where it's an equal split, but it is close enough. Like it's an approximate 50-50, which is good enough to get started. Second thing I'll comment about is that when you're dealing with lead buyers, they all have their own systems and tools that they work from. There are smaller companies that don't really have a CRM, or maybe they do and there's just no way to really get lead data into a CRM, or maybe they just like working from Google Sheets. Pretty savage if you ask me, but that's why I have this here where you can just insert rows into a Google Sheet. Both you and your buyer would have access to it and you can see what's going on. You might want to put things like disposition, and I actually have the sheet open right here. So it captures the lead's name, phone, email, timeline, like purchasing timeline. I should probably add a comment for that. I set this up for a roofing buyer. So like what roof type do they want? What's the project type, install versus repair, or even a replacement? That's a third category in roofing. It's very common to ask that question. Their credit worthiness. Usually this is self-reported. I don't really work with any buyers that do this in real time in home services. In financial, I've heard that people do it based on simple PII information. and then the address. That's usually a common thing. And state and zip, in my worlds, these are the most critical to figure out what buyer is going to buy the lead. Address and city they're important, but not really leveraged fully. It depends on the buyer though. And I have like just some simple endpoints to show how they get captured. If this were a CRM, just imagine this as a CRM. I have a Nevada and a California buyer, but let's post a lead in. I have Postman set up. It's just a basic tool to post into this webhook. So I'm going to go ahead and send a lead. This would be a Nevada lead. All right, so it's submitted, and then now I'm going to look at the executions. You can see I've gone through this a bunch before. So lead came in, like I said, it was Nevada. It went to the round robin, and then this time it went to buyer 2, and you can see that. You should have been able to see it here. Let's do it again. All right, there we go, buyer 1. So you can see that it is now shuffling between the two. Actually, I only did one submission. Let's do one more. Okay, you can see the second one, and I just submitted a third. And you can see buyer 1, buyer 2. It was almost an even split, but I only did 3 or 4 tests. One of them didn't go through. I think I clicked go on the wrong tab. But that's how the basic lead routing works. Ways that I would improve this is I would keep a full record of all the leads coming in from your landing pages. Sometimes there are delivery problems, and if you rely completely on your buyer's system, you're going to want a single source of truth that did you generate the lead? Yes. Okay. And then what happened? Did it actually go through your flow and get to your buyer? Or was there an issue when you tried to post to your buyer? Being able to triage that is very important. The other thing is you'll want filters beyond state. So I would actually work on the engine of like, and this only matters, it only applies when you have a lot of buyers that have different rules and different lead qualification criteria that you have to match. So some buyers will say, I'll only talk to homeowners. Like if they don't own their home, I don't want to talk to them. Renters is an issue in home services. You might have like operating hours. So we work with some call centers where they will only accept leads during certain hours. So those leads that come in after hours, they just go unsold. And then you'll have to figure out some other monetization strategy to hopefully recover some revenue from your ad spend on those, or you just shut your ads off during those hours, which sucks, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But those filters, this reinforces my recommendation. Just have a database of everything that you've processed. That way you can audit for all of these advanced rules. And then if there are leads that come in outside of operating hours a lot and often, then you know you need to try and find buyers that can take those leads 24/7. I saw this in the group where integrating into Stripe automatically. I think that's an awesome idea. So like if you get a lead that successfully delivers, you can automatically have it charge the card. And then that way it's more of like a consumption model versus like they have to commit to a big budget. Another thing that I would do to this, if things really started to take traction and things started to work really well, is I would add a data table. Data table is it's a feature within NAN where you can basically add a database, and that allows you to check for like duplicate leads. You can keep track of how many leads you sold to a buyer. If there's like a quota that you're supposed to meet, maybe it's 100 leads. When you get to 100 leads, how are you going to account for that? So you probably want to build something that automatically turns it off or pauses it for that buyer until you have a conversation like, do you want me to keep going? Great, let's get a deposit and move forward. Another cool idea, and I think this would work really well with some testing, is you could put your lead record through an LLM and have it scrub for things like profanity or fake information. It's not going to do like real validation, like is the number real or is the email real, but it's going to have a sense of like, did somebody type a fake email? What's the probability? An LLM will probably do that pretty well. Also, if you tell the LLM, I have buyers in these states, this is what they're looking for. I have buyers in these zips, this is what they're looking for. You can have a context window in the LLM and have it figure out routing. And then that way you're not building out all these nodes. It's just figuring out, okay, this goes to buyer 1, this goes to buyer 2, and it's just based on the lead record. That would be pretty cool. I don't know how it would work at scale, but I'd really, personally, I would like not having to create all these custom rules, the mappings to buyers, and just have an LLM handle it. But I don't know what the cost benefit analysis would be for that. Just cool idea I thought I'd throw on here. Last thing would be to notify your buyers. As soon as a lead comes in, you want them to call as soon as possible. So SMS notifications would probably create the most urgency that, hey, I have a live lead that just came in on our web forums. You need to call them immediately. You could try email, but personally, I don't respond to email. But if I got a text message, I'd most likely respond to that quickly. So this is how I would do it if I was starting over. I'd have something very simple. You can do the same thing in Make or Zapier. Like, all of this is doable in all of these no code, low code solutions. And if I just had to get something up and running, this is what I would do. I would feel confident with what I have here to get started. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please ask, and I'm happy to help. Thanks.